I also want to take the opportunity of asking you about Chandrayaan-3, because Chandrayaan-1 threw up the possibility of ice molecules. What is it that the world does not know about the findings of Chandrayaan-3? Mr. Somnath, we do have a habit of getting some breaking news. I'm hoping that you would be able to share with us what the world does not know about the findings of Chandrayaan-3.
See, on the Chandrayaan-3, our target was to land on the southern side of the moon, very closer to the pole. And everybody's interested in the south pole of the moon. I think all of you know why it is so, because that area is not well sunlit, and there is 14 days of day and 15 days of night there. So because of that, the structure of the moon is well preserved there, unlike the equator domain where there is better sunlight, and then the possibility of measuring and finding water, minerals, and many other things are much better off in the southern pole than in the equator. So when we went there and did the measurements using the 5 of our instruments, there were many interesting findings. I think the most surprising things are to be kept as a surprise because it's to be done. It is to be done by the scientists, not by me, because there is a set of moon scientists working on this data, and they have some observations, of course, I must tell you. But they have to corroborate with the other findings. There are experiments which are done on the ground and the measurements coming from there. For example, one of the important finding was that there will be huge amount of dust there. But when we went there, we found there is no dust like what we expected to happen in the equator. And you would have seen the rover moving around, and then the clumps of materials were coming out, not in the form of dust. Then there must be a surprising question, why there is no dust there, and why dust was seen in the Apollo landing. I think you all know that we have seen those videos of other landings. There was enough dust, but there is no dust there. The presence of water, which is much more abundant than the equator, or something else that is happening there. We also found that the atmosphere of the moon at that time, though you know that there is no atmosphere there, but there is an electron and a charged particle atmosphere. It's much different from that we expected. So there are surprising things. But for time being, let me not disclose, because it has to come in a peer-reviewed journal, and normally in scientific domain, it's not just announced like a chairman coming and telling you there is something surprising here. So we go through a process of peer review, and people in that domain should certify that what you are speaking is true. And once that is done, we will definitely announce.
Since you talk about opening up the space sector also, and the kind of presence that we currently have. There was an argument, Mr. Somnath, that if we are opening it up, FDI, in the space sector, then you're essentially looking at more control from the foreign players. Is that a cause of concern, or would you say that this is pure fear-mongering that was essentially done?
This comes out of the non-understanding of the economics of space activity. See, today the overall space economy is sized approximately $500 billion US. Out of that, almost 70% of the business or the financial activity that is taking place is around the applications, or is around the hardware that are required for the ground operations, connectivity, network, and various other things. Around 15% is for building satellites, and rest is for only rockets and launch vehicles. So the overall economy is driven by application rather than the high-end sort, where the investment is very high, the return of investment is low. The rocket building and launching is not a very profitable business if you are not very good at like SpaceX. The satellite building and launching is the next profitable opportunity, but the bigger profitable venture is in terms of applications. For example, image processing and using communication services, navigation and timing services, weather-related services, etc. So if you really look at these three sectors, the launching sector, the satellite sector, the application sector. So in the FDI, what we have done is the application sector is now 100% automatic. That means whoever wish to invest in the application sector are welcome to India and then create their capability. So what really means is that in India and in around India, there is so much of markets available to create the possibilities of applications and then generate the activities around it. So when you create an economic activity around the applications, naturally the demand for satellites will increase. And now in the satellite sector, we are not allowing FDI to come automatically up to 100%. So that is regulated. It's only up to 74%. So now the activities on satellites increases, then naturally the demand for launches will increase. And the launcher side, the FDI is limited to only 49%. So the foreign players cannot directly come in and then build rockets here. It's possible only by government route only, where we do the due diligence on who is coming and who are going to be the players. So we have demarcated the sectors very clearly, the launcher sector, the satellite sector, and application sector, and the FDI bounds have been put appropriately so that our interests as a nation are not compromised.